And we cannot have a Republican Speaker of the House that is willing to do the bidding of Chuck Schumer, handing over the gavel to him and letting him pass the Schumer House bill on the floor and not allowing any of us Republicans to do our jobs.
Speaker Johnson is doing the very best job he can. It's a difficult situation, but look, the one advice I would give to the conference and to the Speaker is do not be fearful of a motion to vacate.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene's motion to remove Speaker Mike Johnson rocked Washington Friday as Republicans' majority in the House narrows with new retirements. For more on this, Congresswoman from Florida, Paulina Luna, joins me now. Congresswoman, welcome.
Thank you.
So we've got some more reaction on this effort to remove Speaker Mike Johnson. I want to play it, and I'll get your reaction to it.
I call it as I see it. And this stunt by Marjorie is idiotic.
Do you have support for the Speaker?
I do.
It's just a strategic move on her part.
Are you in favor of it?
Currently, no.
Is this the right time to be bickering over a House Speaker?
I think right now Marjorie's likely listening to her constituents, but what I can tell you is I'm waiting to hear from my own to see where I really feel that I'm going to be voting, if it's even called up. What I can also tell you is just because it's been filed doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to be voting on it. But I want to point out something because you had an interview from Representative Gallagher, and I just find the timing very interesting because there are so many people that have just so happened to announce their resignations. And I believe that that's actually going to be what paralyzes this conference.
Speaking to that point, Congressman Ken Buck, the latest to leave. Let's play him.
You left Congress as of Friday, just as that was all going down. I guess that didn't cause you to rethink your decision?
Not at all. Not at all. No rearview mirror. Happy to move on. Dysfunctional place.
The House balance of power is getting tighter. 218 Republicans, 213 Democrats. With 4 vacancies, how much more difficult does it make it for the House GOP to pass its agenda?
It's ultimately going to bring us to a gridlock. And, I want to speak to Representative Buck's point. I actually do agree that this place is dysfunctional, but, him leaving did not help, and Rep. Gallagher leaving did not help. And so I just, again, would like to point out that the swamp is alive and well. And when you are seeing people intentionally leave in order to prevent primaries from happening so those seats can be filled, I just think that they're doing the American people a disservice. You don't necessarily have to go to Washington to D.C. to get friends. In fact, very famous quote is, if you want a friend in D.C., get a dog. But what I will tell you is that you are really only screwing over the Republican Party, the American people.
That shrinking majority suggests that impeachment of President Biden is off the table. Is making a criminal referral a way out of this?
I don't necessarily think so, because ultimately I think many people know that that's going to die in the Senate. But what we can do, and I think why so many people are frustrated, is we should be leveraging our power in negotiating the power of the purse. And you saw what happened recently, that even right after the omnibus passed, even though I did not vote for it and many of my colleagues did not, we saw the Biden DOJ open up basically a red flag center. And so we'll see what happens, but we're going to continue our investigations and oversight. And what I can tell you is, if you as the American people are frustrated with what's happening in D.C., please stop sending us the same people.
All right. Then there are concerns about the crisis in Haiti and the impact on your home state of Florida. Here's Governor Ron DeSantis.
We do have our transport program also that's going to be operational. So Haitians land in the Florida Keys. Their next stop very well may be Martha's Vineyard.
What is your concern about the impact of that crisis in Haiti on the great state of Florida?
Well, I am glad that Governor DeSantis is leading the charge in our state right now, because of the fact that as we're seeing what's happening around the country at the southern border, with what's happening in Haiti, we don't necessarily know that the people coming here posing as refugees are refugees from a war-torn area. And so I continue to support my governor in that effort to not only defend the citizens of Florida, but also to ensure that our borders are being protected. And I'd like to point out that if I was sitting in the White House right now, you can bet that what would be happening in Haiti wouldn't be going down. I think that it's an absolute farce that this administration, from an international policy perspective, has really dropped the ball.
Congresswoman Paulina Luna of the great state of Florida, thank you very much for your time today and your analysis.
God bless.
God bless you. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.